In 1762, the English village of Godalming was attacked by a strange story. A woman named Mary Toft claimed that she had given birth to rabbits. What followed was a story of deception, faith, and science that shook society in the 18th century. Mary Toft was born in a small village in Zurich in 1703. She was the daughter of a simple shoemaker and grew up in modest circumstances. At the age of 24, she married a middle-class shoemaker named Joshua Toft and moved with him to Guildford, where they founded their family. In 1762, Mary Toft became pregnant with her fourth child. But instead of a normal pregnancy, the old Dr. John Howard found various parts of animals. About 3 cat legs, a rabbit foot and the spine of an eel. In the following weeks, Mary began to claim that she would give birth to rabbits. John Howard wrote in his diary that Mary was to have given birth to 9 dead rabbit feet in the last few days. The news of Mary's miraculous birth spread quickly. The local population was fascinated by the idea that a woman was able to give birth to animals. Mary was then examined by doctors and scientists who tried to explain the phenomenon. Mary's story soon aroused the attention of the king and queen. They were informed by the doctors and asked to be allowed to examine Mary personally. Mary traveled to London and was examined by a group of doctors, including the Swiss cenotaph Saint André, a king's surgeon. In his presence, Mary was said to have given birth to 2 half-rabbits on November 15, 1762. The doctors who examined Mary were fascinated by her claim. They reported that they had removed rabbit paws, ears and whiskers from Mary's vagina. This seemed to prove that Mary was actually able to give birth to animals. Mary's story became a national phenomenon. It was reported in the press and attracted visitors from all over the world. A group of doctors even traveled to Godalming to monitor the birth of another rabbit. But even after weeks of waiting and observing, there were no further births. Finally, Mary's pregnancy was exposed. Not only was the noise of enthusiasm ebbed by the remaining births, but more and more critical voices were also heard. For example, that the incomplete rabbit body was not separated by the uterus contractions as was suspected, but that cutting tools were used. Her doctor, John Howard himself, was finally there. He observed how Mary introduced body parts of rabbits into her vagina. He informed the other doctors and Mary was arrested and charged. Shortly thereafter, Mary Toft claimed to have introduced the dead body parts of the rabbits into her vagina herself to deceive such a birth. Her husband actively supported her. But he did not proceed particularly discreetly. So he bought up rabbits in the entire area, cut them up and prepared them for birth. Mary was convicted of fraud and was taken to the London Bridgeville prison, but was released again after a few months. Presumably the coming trial would have been too embarrassing for many involved. After all, a simple service market, the most prominent and most recognized doctors and scholars in the country, has led to the light and ruined their careers forever. Mary's story is a good example of superstition and the ideas of supernatural forces that shaped the society of the 18th century. People were prone to misconceptions and stories that confirmed their ideas of the world. Mary's story played a role in these misconceptions and led to her being honored as a miracle woman. Why she invented the story is not known. One assumption is that she wanted to escape poverty with the attention she gained. At the time, regular curiosities cabinets took place all over Europe, in which, for example, Semitic twins, small-sized people with albinism and more were put on display in public. Perhaps it would have been her wish to appear there herself, as the woman who gave birth to rabbits.